First maiden flight from Brazil to Nigeria lands after President Tinubu seals Brazil aviation deal. Central Bank of Nigeria sets October 2025 deadline for ISO 20022 geotagging compliance. Oil steadies as investors focus on Ukraine, inventories and tariffs on India. Asia-Pacific markets trade mix as investors assess China industrial profits data. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us at this time. Is that time as we bring you up to speed with happenings in the world of business, from the market square to the boardrooms. Now, to start, the Central Bank of Nigeria has directed all payment industry participants to fully adopt the ISO 20022 messaging standard and implement mandatory geotagging of payment terminals by October 31st, 2025. In a circular signed by the Director of Payment System Supervision, Dr. Rekia Yusuf, the CBN stressed that the ISO 20022 is now the global standard for payment messaging. The directive applies to banks, microfinance institutions, mobile money operators, and other licensed payment providers. Operators must ensure mandatory data elements such as payer and payee IDs, merchant IDs, and transaction and metadata accurately captured. The circular also mandates geotagging for all point of sales and payment terminals using GPS-enabled technology, requiring precise location data tied to merchant business premises. Additionally, Android OS 10 is the minimum operating system for terminals to support the National Central Switch Monitoring System. The National Insurance Commission and the Corporate Affairs Commission have agreed to deepen collaboration to ensure a seamless implementation of the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act, that is the NIRA 2025, particularly on the industry's recapitalization process. At a meeting between both agencies, the Registrar General of the CAC, Hussaini Magaji, pledged to work closely with NICAM to also assure the guidelines that will facilitate the recapitalization exercise, as well as enhance data exchange between the two institutions and provide concessions as well as expedited clearance where necessary. A statement from NICAM says Magaji pledged the CAC's commitment to aligning with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic vision, adding that the CAC values its long-standing partnership with NICAM in driving reforms that promote the growth of the Nigerian economy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned to Abuja after his visit to Japan and Brazil. The presidential flight 001 landed at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at 20 minutes past 1 this morning. Also returning with President Speaker House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy President of the Senate, Barrow Jibrin, governors of Kaduna and Plateau states. He was received by a delegation which included the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, Chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, among others. The president, who left Abuja August 15, had a stopover in Dubai before proceeding to Yokohama, Japan, where he attended the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 9. After another stopover in Los Angeles, the president took off to Brazil on a 2-day state visit. At a historic visit where the Nigerian leader was accorded a colorful reception, 5 agreements were signed to strengthen economic cooperation between both countries. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Safety, Festus Keyamo, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, were among other top government functionaries on board the first commercial flight from Brazil to Nigeria. The ministers described the development as one of the several positive results of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's recent visit to Brazil to resuscitate bilateral trade relations between the two countries. Amaka O has that report.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's recent significant visit to President da Silva of Brazil is yielding positive fruits. The resuscitation and strengthening of bilateral trade relations between both countries has made possible a direct 7-hour flight from Brazil to Nigeria. This was experienced by the Ministers of Aviation and Aerospace Safety, Festus Keyamo, and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, including other top government functionaries. They applauded the president for the achievement and described the symbiotic relationship as one that will boost and facilitate trade between Nigeria and Brazil.
The first fruits of the diplomatic shuttle of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Brazil. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his wisdom, has decided to open up our economic relations, diplomatic relations, trade relations again with Brazil. Brazil is the biggest economy in South America, and of course, Nigeria is considered the biggest economy in Africa. So connecting these two economies was very key to both presidents. The trade between both countries plummeted from $10 billion to $2 billion. And that is how, in 10 years, and that was how the things got sour. But with this, of course, relations will pick up again. And key to this, key to the achievement of all the agreements we signed is the connectivity between both countries. So what you are seeing today is the first fruit. We are bringing back an actual fulfillment, an actual gain of that visit, which is the first maiden flight between Brazil and Nigeria. Before, let me tell you this, there was no way you could have gone to Brazil or you'd have gone back to Addis Ababa first or gone down south to either Angola or South Africa. There was no connection in the whole of Central and West Africa. So the whole of West Africa and Central Africa is connected to Nigeria now. That's the benefit to our economy because they can all come here to connect airpeace. The whole of West Africa and Central Africa can come here to connect airpeace and then up to South America, up to Brazil, and then from there, if we interline the whole of South America and the Caribbean. It's huge for our economy, and this is all credit to Mr. President and his renewed hope agenda.
Everyone is happy about what is happening. It's not just an economic connection, it's also cultural, social, connection between the two parts of the world.
One of Nigeria's leading airlines, as part of the collaboration between both countries, promises to ensure sustainability and increase in the number of flights flying the route in due course.
Our dear president signed several MOUs with Brazil. He has just opened this country for the youth of this country. He's creating a Nigeria for the future of everyone. And you might not know the opportunities that are embedded in all the MOUs signed until they start being implemented. It's huge. But what we did today is symbolic and at the same time real.
The first commercial flight from Brazil to Nigeria is historic and can best be described as a strategic move that will open up more investment windows and boost bilateral relations between both countries.
Now, our conversation at this time is about the first fruits from Brazil. Now, one of Nigeria's air carrier airpeace has marked a major milestone in Nigerian aviation by operating a direct Sao Paulo-Lagos flight carrying members of Nigeria's delegation and private sector leaders from Brazil. What does this mean for the aviation sector economically? And to shed more light on this, And we have an aviation expert in the studio, Goddy Ike. You're welcome to Business Express.
Oh, thank you, Benny.
Good. Like I promised, it's going to be an expanded conversation, and here we are. Okay, great. The 7-hour direct flight follows a historic aviation agreement signed in Brasilia, witnessed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What's your take on all of this?
Oh, Benny, I am thrilled that this is happening in my lifetime. It's also, thrilling me because I've been wondering over the years why we haven't taken the advantage of the open skies to, get Brazil closer to us. And I'm going to describe the geography to you so that you realize what's been happening to us. By the way, I heard the minister, Honorable Minister Keyamo say our trade dropped from
$10 billion,
$10 billion to $2 billion. That's what aviation can do for any economy. If it's not working, it drops. If it begins to work, it rises. And so what we were doing, leave the shortcut on the west coast of Africa. But you need to understand that America and both North and the South are closer to us here in West Africa than they are closer to Europe. It will shock you to know that. Hitherto, we had a situation where we would board any of the major European airlines or even our fellow African Ethiopian airline, head all the way north, do some 5.5 or 6 hours, depending on the wind that the planes are engaging, land and be kept sitting in the waiting lounge of any of the Europeans, especially the French, the UK, and of course, Germany, depending on the flight. You sit down there like sitting ducks, wait for hours before they assemble other flights coming from all over the world, and then begin a new journey heading west. Get close to Canada, turn left and go south. And then you begin to see, Boston, Massachusetts, New York, and the rest of them. And of course, going westwards will become the massive nation called United States of America. Now, what has happened with this is that traveling now via airpiece to either the US or Brazil, you don't need to go to Europe anymore. You don't need to cross the Mediterranean Sea. All you need to do is head out to west coast, of Africa, starting from Lagos, Benin Republic, and Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, up to Senegal. You won't believe it, Benny. Senegal is only 4 hours of cross of the Atlantic Ocean, and you find yourself right at the beach of Miami, Florida. Benny, would you believe it? That's how it is.
That's how close.
That's how close.
We're talking about
from Senegal.
We're talking about not just cutting the cost, but also the timing in terms of travel from over 24, 25 to 28 hours.
That's
to
correct.
7 hours straight. Now, what's the
7
impact?
hours you are there.
Okay, now this is passenger. Now we also understand that under the agreement, we have 2 Nigerian carriers. Yes, Airpeace has been mentioned. We also have Caverton. They are set to actually commence not just passenger, but also cargo services, respectively, on the Lagos-Sao Paulo route. Now, what does this imply in terms of what modalities should be put in place to ensure sustainability?
Oh, thank you for this question, the most important of them. We must be cautious not to begin to profiteer. Now, I'll give you a practical example. If it took an average businessman or woman 3 million naira, I'm not saying that's what it's costing currently, but I'm just using figures to describe to you so that you really appreciate what's going on. if you took 3 million naira to do a trip to Brazil via the old route of first Europe and then back to the Americas, and then you needed to do upwards of about 23 or 20 hours, as the case may be, and now doing it via our west coast of Africa and heading out to the north, the Atlantic, and it cuts the time by 3 times less. Okay. Now, what it follows is that we should not engage, the airlines that have had this opportunity should not engage in profiteering. It follows that the maximum that we can be doing is, say, 50% of what it used to cost people to travel before now. So I would cancel that the Minister of Aviation calling the players, I'm talking about the airlines that will be doing this, and cancel them, that the only way this thing can be sustained, this opportunity that we've had, that our awesome President Bola Tinubu has made to happen, because we've had several presidents over the years, but nobody ever thought of doing this for Nigeria. I am thrilled. But now the airlines must be watched. They shouldn't profiteer. They should bring down the cost of flying to Brazil and make it possible for more people to seek to go to and fro. Not just about Nigerians going to Brazil, but Brazilians coming to Nigeria and perhaps other African nations. Okay. Profiteering. Here is what profiteering will do to us if we're not careful. The European airlines that will be losing business, they are very wealthy airlines. I'm talking about Air France, I'm talking about Lufthansa, and of course British Airways, the 3 major ones. There are others there. If they get into price war, we can't win. The only way we can win is if we set our cost of traveling within a fair range that eschews profiteering. So let's be mindful of this, and I'm hoping that Honorable Minister Keyamo SAN is listening. Please mark my word, if we don't do this, we will soon be faced with a price war that will still make people rather fly the long distance than the shorter one.
Okay, great. This is a first fruit out of 5. We have 4 others MOUs that were signed, and all of this, if you aggregate it, it's about opening new markets and strengthening the South-South cooperation, as it were, and also creating opportunities for Nigerian businesses and travelers. What is the possible impact in boosting trade, investment? We also have the tourism component of it, as well as cultural exchange between Nigeria and Brazil.
It's huge, huge, unbelievably huge. And there again, I say, can we be kind enough to our nation and slow down on corrupt practices? Corruption is one of the issues that are keeping us down as a people and as a nation. If we can really, associate with our brothers and sisters in Brazil, and of course get the kind of technology they have been able to develop for themselves, do quality things. I mean, when we manufacture quality cars. If we build roads, there should be quality roads. Doing things like this, the civilized world have learned to do, and throw away this massive acquisition of wealth that we don't need. And I dare to ask, how much can anyone spend in a lifetime? What should give us joy is to have quality things on ground for our children and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, who will be singing good songs of those of us that lived and made Nigeria, one of the respectable nations of the world. This is an opportunity we can't miss.
Okay, great. Now, before I let you go, there is the issue of trade relations, the volume of trade between both countries. The value was about 10 billion and it dropped to 2 billion in 10 years. Do you see this bridging this gap, and how soon do you see this following the technology transfer we're expected to share with them, the volume of trade increase and all of that?
If we are serious, and really, when I say serious, dead serious, this can be achieved in less than a year. It's so, the business that Nigerians have been doing with Brazil is so huge that if it wasn't for the negative impact of the aviation, when I say negative, I mean the fact that we were not able to access the country directly as we are doing now that we have had these bars assigned. You would have seen the 10 billion jump to 20 or even 30, but a whole lot of businesses came down because it was too expensive to go to Brazil, especially when we devalued our currency. And a whole lot of people, you may even want to know, Benny, I mean, I was one of those who used to frequent, the UK and the USA. And when this whole thing, happened, I was one of those that also slowed down. So you can imagine how many millions of Nigerians that slowed down. So here is another opportunity. We can't afford to mess with it.
Thank you so.
And the airlines must be mindful that this is dependent on them. It is one of the impacts of aviation.
It's about the airlines. It's about government. The government has made it possible. It's also about the business people. Like you said, no profiteering.
No profiteering.
Thank you very much, Goddy, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. We're going to monitor how events get to unfold.
Oh, we're still alive and healthy. God will help us. We'll always speak up if anybody becomes nonsensical in the whole thing.
Sure. I trust you with that. Well, thank you then.
All right then.
Now, Nigeria's air transport sector contributed 215.6 billion naira to the country's gross domestic product in 2023. And according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, in the latest data, the Bureau says just 3 states, the Federal Capital Territory, Lagos, Rivers, accounted for more than 70% of the sector's total output. Analysis show Abuja led with 69.88 billion, that is 32.4%. Lagos followed with 62.64 billion, that is 29%. And Rivers State came third with 22.91 billion, which is 10.6%. Nigeria's ambition to generate 1 trillion from the digital economy will remain a mirage unless the country tackles persistent productivity gaps in key sectors. The Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, that is Kashifu Inoa, says artificial intelligence offers the solution. At the Economic Confidential Annual Lecture Series and PR book presentation themed Agenda for Global Digital Economy, Inoa noted that inefficiencies in agriculture, healthcare, and manufacturing are slowing growth. He insisted that AI, when integrated into these sectors, could unlock innovation, improve efficiency, and accelerate national revenue targets. According to him, AI is not just a technology trend, it is a productivity tool that can help Nigeria overcome structural challenges and deliver on the trillion naira.
To harness technology, not merely as consumers, but as a creator or creators, innovators, and exporters of digital solutions.
The naira depreciated to 1,550 per dollar to the parallel market from 1,540 per dollar. How much is the naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's take a look at the numbers at this time. Now to the global market, Asia Pacific markets closed mixed on Wednesday, breaking ranks with Wall Street as investors assess China's industrial profits data. Let's see the numbers. And this is where we end this edition of Business Express. For value your feedback, keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube and other social media platforms. Business Express returns tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m. Do keep a date with us as you keep thinking and doing business.